2020, the Brumbies brought home Super Rugby AU. Test Rugby saw unprecedented numbers of new coaches trying to establish themselves, and Yoann Huget, a long-term favourite of the channel, an icon of rugby world, probably the most famous rugby player of all time, everyone's most beloved and most liked player, took time out from making cooking tutorials on Instagram to announce his retirement from the game. But in amongst the weeping and the wondering what happens next, this was the year in which some rugby was played by some people, and so it's time to celebrate all the breeds of rugby that this year saw with this, the 2020 Squidge Awards. Think the Oscars if Gloucester Rugby Club was up for Best Director and Sandra Bullock spent months campaigning to get some recognition for the backhand offload she threw in January. Now, two notices. Firstly, this is now going to be a two-part video because I realised I went on a bit too much in this one. And two, last year I split something else up, which was the Try of the Year award into Best Individual and Best Team Try. This year we're going to do it slightly differently. We're going to do Best Try tomorrow, but in the meantime, we're going to look at Best Finish of the year. And that's where we're going to begin with the best active scoring of 2020. Now, a few days ago, I featured this insane finish by Lockdown Spirit animal Teddy Thomas, finishing a great kick by Finn Russell and a superb assist by the French TMO, who said he didn't have a useful angle he could show anyone from this camera right here, for instance. So as far as we can see, as far as we know, this is a try, it was awarded, and it's a phenomenally well taken one at that. However, there's another contentious call I want to look at from this year's semi-final of the Challenge Cup. It was a tight knockout game, but Bordeaux prop Lexo Kaliashvili is bundled into touch just short of the line for what would have been a crucial score. Everyone remains on the edge of the seat, but Bristol fans breathe a sigh of relief until Kaliashvili calls it. He tells the referee he thought he scored. I'm not going to lie, at the time I laughed. I found it quite funny that he thought wait a second, you then see it again and you realise he's got a case. He's got a proper point. Maybe he did score in the corner. It in the end took minutes and minutes of replays and question marks before eventually them calling it as inconclusive. But for me, this was a try. He scored this. And it's only, because it wasn't given that this isn't the 2020 finish of the year. If I'd given this award last year, it would have gone to Joshua Tuisova for this incredible finish against Wales in the World Cup. I remember at the time discussing the fact that of all rugby players in the world, only Tuisova would have finished it. It required his mix of pace, technique, and sheer outright power to ground the ball, and it's completely unique to him. Nobody else could do that. Nobody else could score this try. So it was pretty weird to watch Leinster against Munster this year and discover it turns out Keith Earls could have finished it as well. The technical audacity of this finish is borderline pornographic, and hopefully that's the last time that word is ever used on footage of Keith Earls. Then we have a beauty from further south. Severis busts the line like it's his girlfriend's lip, except people seem to actually care about this, and the defence swarms on him, so he throws a speculative pass towards George Bridge, who from there pulls a quite extraordinary finish, towing the ball up and dribbling into position for himself to dive on and score. And a reasonably similar one here, as Viliami Karoy pulled this sensational shit, to give it its technical term, to score in the corner for Otago. Others, quickly, virtually every touch Muka Koroibete had was a contender. Jake Pelledri here just refused anyone's attempt to make this not a finish, so who would I be to deny him? My Osprey bias is going to sneak in for a second and put this by Matt Prothero to spark a new era in a club who, let's not beat around the bush, were shit for years. And yet this try seemed to change the winds. And then Johnny May's second score against France in particular was a shining, brilliant finish from nothing at all. But 2020's best finish goes to Nani Lamape for burning Bowden Barrett, only to then go, nah, I've had enough of this evasive shit, and barrel right through the final man to finish the try. It's fun, it's effective, it's instantly iconic, and it's hella unique as a way to get the ball down over the line. There are three clear contenders for this year's highly prestigious Lionel Boxes Award for Frenchest contribution to rugby. An honourable mention has to go to January's near calamity as Anton Dupont kicked the ball out with 1 minute to go on the clock, leading to mass confusion and frustration from everyone in the ground, where everyone except one Mr. Monsieur Teddy Thomas, who found it hilarious and probably still giggles over it despite the bonus point it gifted England costing France the Six Nations title. But third place goes to everybody involved in Toulouse's decision early last year to start World Cup winner and iconic winger Cheslin Kolbe at fly half. For anyone who didn't see this, it happened. Manchester RFC themselves lived up to the name and did the kind of thing you do on career mode in Rugby Challenge once you're 9 seasons in. You have a squad of all-stars and you walk the league every season and start to get bored. But the worst bit is, Colby was a pretty functional 10, and it turns out a very good goal kicker who had that one down. His sheer competence means they only secure third place, however, for this, allowing second to go to Vincent Rattez, who took a moment out of having one of the games of his life to be an utterly adorable prick. Spotting Maritoje's scrum cap on the floor, Rattez stands guard until the moment his opponent reaches for it and chucks it away. He just throws it off the pitch. Oh wait, out of sight, and brilliantly, Itoje then went on to play the rest of the game without a hat on, without his scrum cap, and probably had to stay in Stade de France for the next few hours trying to find where it got to. It takes something pretty special to beat that, but we have it. Oh, boys and girls, do we have it. Picture the scene. First game of the season. Toulouse are 2 men down, just 13 on the field, and Clermont put through a probing kick. It's about to go into touch and put Toulouse under enormous pressure. You are Thomas Ramos, fullback. Do you A, let the ball bounce out and slow the game down? B, risk playing it, knowing you may go into touch? C, carry it back over your own try line and try and play it out? D, blind chuck it between your legs and hope to God someone's there to catch it? If you chose D, officially got Toulouse contract. Congratulations. And better yet, you win this miraculous run by Roman Untermack to get you up to the 22. Then there's another phase, then somehow another phase, resulting in a breakout and then the ball somehow getting to Miracle Man Anton Dupont, who turns your utterly batshit dumb idea into a bit of brilliance that nets your team 7 points. They got points from that. From Ramos throwing the ball between his legs blind when with 2 men in the bin. Dupont deserves the on-field plaudits for somehow making that worth points, but for pulling the Frenchest play since Lionel Boxes missed that volley more than a decade ago, Thomas Ramos is walking home with this award. Considering how heavy headlines have been on rugby's reliance on kicking this last few months, it's probably no surprise that the long list of contenders for Kick of the Year was bigger than Ian Madigan's balls as he lined up this shot to win the semi-final Edinburgh had already sewn up. Madigan nailed it to book Ulster's place in the final, and it bears a similarity to this incredible late shot by one Nico Sanchez to seal a historic win over the All Blacks right after they'd been pressing for the try that would have put them right back in it. It's an incredible strike from some 50 to 60 metres. Going more delicate, perhaps, in a game where Wales' kicking strategy was all wrong, there's nobody like Talupe Faletau to put it right by delicately scooping it off his toes and putting it to touch 5 metres out with a perfect dink. We have Reece Hodge here somehow managing to launch the ball less than 65 metres for the first time in his life to create a try for Tom Wright in the Wallabies win over the All Blacks. Carlo Canna weighted this perfectly for a weak spot in the Welsh backfield to let centre part and Marco Zanin score. And then we have this kick to end the North v South game, Will Jordan plucking it pinpoint out of the air to win the game in the final play. However, this award could only ever go to one kick. In 40 years' time, when rugby is played by cyborgs and Alwyn Jones is gearing up for his 44th Lions tour, we will all be taking our grandkids to the Museum of Great Rugby Things, where we witness all the finest acts the sport had to offer, recreated as holograms. And just as they get bored of the 18-hour Anton Dupont highlight reel, your granddaughter turns the corner to see the best kick for touch of all time. And this is what they see. This clearance by Anthony the Boot Boutier. This is literally the perfect kick. Boutier begins one step over his own try line, he thumps it, the ball sails well over the halfway line, it bounces out just before the 22, and then continues until it's bouncing out 5 metres from the English line. This is a kick that will never, it cannot possibly be bettered. This is not just the kick of 2020, this is the kick of all of our lifetimes. And we're going to close out part 1 with the most precious of awards, the best Miscs of the year. There were loads of really strong contenders for this. Wales drawing Australia and Fiji for a 4th World Cup out of 5. An 8,000 to 1, at least I'm not very good at maths, long shot that just keeps happening is both hysterical and proof that God is a rugby fan who likes to troll his older brother. Nigel Owens, little knowing the themes that would later go on to dominate this year, letting a prop wipe his face on the back of his jersey was funny then, but now plays like some kind of S4C morality play. We have Stuart Hogg lining up a kick from 60 metres to to beat his former club in the final play, only for the thing to smash off the crossbar and rebound back across the 22, only for then Reece Hodge, sat at home somewhere, itching to go out on the field once again, went, hold my beer, and would have hit the same Scotstoun crossbar Hogg did if only the post in the ground he was actually kicking it from hadn't gotten in the way. Then two pretty Miscs milestones. Michael Hooper set the record for quickest time from first to 100th cap, playing in, and this is incredible, 100 of the 104 internationals Australia have played since he made his debut 8 years ago. And George North also earned his 100th cap on, and this is just very neat, exactly 10 years the day of his first. However, the runner-up spot goes to Danny Collins of my freshly beloved New England Free Jacks, who this year earned himself a fair few beers for proving MLR as a concept by being the teacher and part-time juggler who absolutely did Marnonu, one of rugby's all-time great players. However, rugby's emerging leagues had one bigger treat to go, because there can be only one winner of the 2020 Best Misc of the Year. And that was the gloriously silly scenes as Harjay Snyman rose out of the Japanese Ocean and continued to march around top league pitches like Godzilla with a beach ball. I'm not the first one to compare it to this clip of three professionals playing ball against 100 Japanese schoolchildren, but the fact that an athlete who could make first-rate rugby players in what is a generally very competitive and high-quality league look like children is beyond a joy. Considering some of the names who've come over to Japan have failed to have this kind of impact, and some of them who were playing against Snyman in these games, it speaks to just how good Snyman is, and makes you all the more curious to see the likes of Bowden Barrett take on this tournament when the top league season begins on January 16th. Join me tomorrow for part 2 with Pass the Year, Try of the Year, and the big one, ladies and gentlemen, Match of the Year.
You can't but enjoy Nigel Owens when he referees a game.